Welcome to The Bridge, an urban church planting podcast by the Arkansas Baptist State Convention. Hear personal stories, practical tips, and missional strategies to bring you insights and encouragement on your church planting journey. Coming to you live from Little Rock, here are your hosts, Neal Scoggins and Chanson Newborn.
Hey, welcome to the first episode of The Bridge.
The very first episode of The Bridge. Welcome to The Bridge, Chanson.
Yeah, this is your entrance to urban church planting. I'm Chanson Newborn, a former church planter and church strategist for Arkansas Baptist State Convention. And I am joined by my BFF, my good friend, my buddy, my pal. Well, you're second because Beverly's first.
Yeah, but, well, I'm finna say better be, for real.
She's first.
Yeah,
Neal Scoggins, man, how you doing? Introduce yourself.
Doc, I'm good, man. Neal Scoggins, a church planter. I don't know how long you are actually a church planter, but I'm still one.
I know.
Yeah.
How many years?
Yeah.
Do they
only
give you?
7 years.
Yeah.
So I'm going at a decade, then I'll shut it down. So a church planter, been doing that for 7 years. This is actually, Chanson, my second church plant.
Oh, really?
The first one lasted about 5 months.
Oh, really?
And kept the name because I'd already registered with the state, so just kind of kept the name.
So you started out wrong. What happened? 5 months.
I started out wrong,
and she died.
That's right. Yeah, no, I killed it. I pulled a plug, man.
Yeah, restarted. We're gonna start over.
I restarted again. I've been going this time for 7 years.
That's
5
good.
months. And so if I went 6 months on the second one, then that means I would have beat that first one. I beat the first one. But yeah, I'm kind of a dual role kind of deal here. So I'm a church planter and a church planting.
That's cool.
Not church planting, but an evangelism strategist for the Arkansas Baptist State Convention. Real happy to be here. Yeah. Real happy to be here with you because we've been talking for a long time about actually doing the bridge, and we'll be talking about urban church planting, which is something that a lot of people don't really. Urban church planting is a little different, and it's really planting in some of those difficult spaces and difficult places. So I'm real excited about that.
With different contexts.
Yeah, with a different context.
Church planting in and of itself is difficult.
It is.
So, but the context is a little different when it comes to urban inner city. So you got to kind of define that a little bit more than just, urban.
Than just urban. Because urban is a whole lot of stuff.
Right, exactly.
That's why it's called the bridge.
There you
it's
go.
a long way from one side to the other side. But I'm real excited about our first episode because our first episode is really about something that is apropos or appropriate for us right now, especially during the summer. And the title for today is really Surviving the Summer Slump.
Dreaded summer slumps.
Man, it doesn't really matter who you are, what you're dealing with. Every church, whether an existing church pastor or a church plant, is dealing with the summer slump. So we're ready for today's podcast where we'll talk about surviving the summer slump. Up next on The Bridge. So what is the summer slump, Chanson? When we say summer slump, as a pastor or as a church planter, what's the first thing that comes to your mind when you talk about summer slump?
When I think of summer slump, I think of lack of participation
on your part, or the congregation.
No, it's not on my part. It's on the congregation. I think of the attendance is going to go down. I think giving goes down in a slump. Momentum kind of slows down. I mean, but you got to look at it. Undoubtedly, people are going to go on vacation. You've got youth camps, sports going on. You got all of these other activities. It's summertime. People want to enjoy the summer. They want to enjoy the weather and all of this. And so, naturally, that's just a natural part of the cycle of church life. People are going to enjoy the weather, And so, So when you get closer to the summer, get close to those times, you're going to have those slumps, those dreaded slumps. And so, how do you navigate through those seasons?
Well, let me just say this real quick on that one as you finish. I think we have to know that they're coming.
Right, be aware.
And here's the thing: we got to be honest. As a planter, and as a pastor, you need to know that the slump is coming. No matter how much faith you have, the slump comes because, like you said, natural cycles of people. It just goes down. It just happens, and we have to make sure that we're just kind of prepared for that. As a pastor, when you this is you pastored how many churches? Two?
No,
two?
One. That was you were the one who did a restart.
Yeah.
No, just one. One church plant. So, so I experienced that as well. 4 years. We were 4 years into the plant, and within the DNA of the plant, we did a lot of outreach.
Yeah.
And so 4 years into it, I felt as if we were burnt out in doing outreach every single month.
Well,
I don't necessarily think that the people were burned out. I think it was me.
You did outreach every month.
Yeah, we did every month. It was we calendared every single month.
Gotcha.
But so 4 years in, we were, I said, hey guys, we're just going to take a break from doing outreach, and I did that at the top of the year. Well, since I did that and summer was coming, and I noticed, hey, giving is going to take a hit, participation is going to take a hit, attendance is going to take a hit.
Yeah.
And so I just prayerfully started thinking, okay, what can I do to help engage people during the summer, because this is going to happen.
Yeah.
And it did. And we were holding on to, because what kept momentum was the fact that we were doing outreach. And I kind of took that away because we needed a break.
Yeah.
And people didn't have they weren't missionally engaged in anything, didn't know what to do. So it hit us really hard.
Wow.
Yeah, it hit us hard.
So did it hit you the entire summer? I mean, when you say the summer, did it hit you in May, like soon as graduation, and then momentum didn't come back until August?
You're gonna have momentum because of Easter. You're coming off of Easter.
Yeah.
You got baptisms, lives to change.
Yeah.
You got that momentum. Then you got Memorial Day.
Yeah.
And then after that,
then
you start seeing the decline. Yeah, you start seeing the decline. People start scheduling vacations. You got sports camps and all of that stuff. So it really hit midsummer for us.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that was midsummer, and I looked as a church plant. You're already, you're already faced with a lot of other challenges, and man, with people didn't have anything to be engaged in, because the DNA of the church was just doing outreach, being missionally engaged.
Yeah,
and so it hit us mid-June.
God, man, let me tell you something.
It hit us hard. What about you guys?
You know what? I don't remember. I was anticipating it. I remember that.
Yeah.
But I don't remember when it started.
Yeah.
But I was anticipating early on.
Mm-hmm.
But this is what got me. So there was a summer that was coming, and it hit us early. It was literally right after Mother's Day.
Oh, really?
And from Mother's Day through August, through back to school, giving was so low that attendance was already low because people were out, they were doing their thing. Mm-hmm. So attendance was low. As a church plant, we were not doing online giving at the time. You just kind of had to be there. I don't know why I wasn't doing it, but I wasn't doing it. I was trying to put some outreach things together, but they kept falling apart. And then we were so low with giving and attendance is that I talked to the administrator and I said, we're going to have to shut some things down.
Oh, wow.
It got to a point, and I'm going to be honest with you, man. My wife doesn't even know this. She knows now. I finally told her. So I was getting a little stipend from the church. Mm-hmm. There were a couple of times, this was twice a month, there were a couple of times that I had to give the stipend back.
Oh, yeah.
Because we were struggling. Yeah. I mean, it was just, there was nothing going on. And then, here's where the slump happened. It was a financial slump.
Yep.
It was a congregational energy slump. It was a leadership slump. And then there was a spiritual slump.
Yep.
Because then I started to second guess whether or not God had actually called us to do what he had called us to do. And that was for us. For me, it got me. And then my administrator said, hey, what are we going to do? And then what I ended up doing was I said, you know what? I'm just going to have to trust God. I don't know what to do. So if you're a pastor or a planter and you're dealing with that right now, number one, you need to know that what you're dealing with is something that everybody deals with.
All church leaders, pastors.
Regardless of how old the church is.
Yes, it doesn't matter. You're a mega church or a small church, big church, doesn't matter.
Everybody does.
Everybody deals with this.
Everybody deals with it.
And so it's good for you to be aware that this is going to happen and prepare for it. How do I prepare for this? And so that it doesn't take me by surprise.
Yeah.
And I can I can continue to equip the people and move them in a healthy way.
Yeah, we both talked about our experiences with those slumps and those challenges or whatever. Let me ask you this. Let me ask you the other way around on yours, and then you can ask me later on. But were you prepared as an early, and you were 4 years in.
Yeah, I was 4 years in.
Were you prepared for the slump?
No.
You knew it was coming intellectually.
No, I was not prepared for it. I knew it was coming because, I understand those cycles, but I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
And then I thought I made a mistake by pulling back on the first of the year. By pulling back, I thought I made a mistake. I was questioning my leadership skills and I didn't know. I really didn't know what to do because I knew it was coming. And then, when it started happening, it was just falling apart. Yeah. And I was like, okay, what in the world are we going to do?
How do you as a planter, you're 4 years old. Mm-hmm. I know how I felt, but how do you
It was disheartening. It was discouraged. It was discouraging, to see you experience that, and you're aware of it. Matter of fact, I had shared, I had shared it with my leadership team prior to this happening. I just kind of shared and unpacked to them. All right, guys, we got to prepare for this summer because folks are not going to show up. Things are going to happen.
Yeah.
And they really didn't have any input. They were like, okay, Pastor, what are we? They're looking at me. So, Pastor, what are we going to do?
Yeah. No, they were looking at you going, yeah, you're right, because I'm going to be out for 6 weeks.
Exactly. By the way.
Oh, yes. Now that you're thinking about that.
By the way.
I'm going to be gone
taking my money with me. Yeah.
That's right. Okay. That's right. Yeah. Yeah, that was it. So for me, I didn't know. I knew that the energy slump was coming.
Right.
But here's the thing that I wasn't prepared for, Chanson, and I'm going to be honest with you. I was not prepared for the spiritual dip that happened to me. I was not prepared to deal with.
So what was that experience, the spiritual dip?
The spiritual dip for me was I was second guessing whether or not God had fired me and didn't let me know.
I know. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm serious. Man, I couldn't preach a sermon to save my life. It's like everything I preached was it would fall flat.
Right.
I would try to change what I was doing with my prayer time.
Yeah.
I was struggling there. Here's one of the mistakes that I made is that I couldn't talk to my wife.
Yeah.
Or I could have. I chose not to.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want her to panic.
Yep.
And I wanted to carry that burden. To share that burden with her. Yeah. Because I felt like her being a church planter's wife, it was already a burden, or a pastor's wife, it's already a burden.
Yeah.
And then we had a couple of new people that would come and they'll go, and then they'll ask you this question: where is everybody?
Yep.
And then they start looking at you going, man, what in the world happened right there? I have no idea what happened. Yeah. So with all of that going on, obviously we made it through.
Right.
Obviously we made it through. So with the slump that you dealt with financially and physically and all of that, and a slump that I dealt with as well, I think it's our responsibility, because we've made it through, is to give some people some principles or some things to kind of pull out of all of those. So principle number one that we just kind of want to pull out of all of that is, the first thing is this: we have to re-engage our small groups. That's number one. We have to re-engage our small groups.
Either re-engage or start a small group.
Okay.
You have to re-engage or start a small group.
Okay, unpack that one for me.
So for us, like I was saying earlier, I cast vision for small group because we weren't doing small groups.
Gotcha. Going into the slump. Gotcha.
And so I was just casting vision. We're going to start small groups, and I'm going to raise up some leaders. You're gonna lead. You're gonna have some gatherings at your home, and I was doing that throughout the year. But I didn't pull the trigger. I was just casting vision. Wow. I really didn't pull the trigger. Wow. And so, because I didn't want to add anything else on our plate.
Gotcha. Yeah, but the plate was becoming empty, so you had plenty of room.
Exactly.
You had plenty of room on your plate at that point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so so I pulled the trigger and I started sharing with everybody about, hey, we're going to start small groups, and Neal, it's something powerfully unique about small groups in the life of a church. So I initiated it because we had a barbecue at my house.
Okay.
And I don't know how spiritual this is going to sound. Hey, we had a barbecue at my house, and we played some cards. And
Uh-oh. No. Old maid. Solitaire.
So, so I had to model this because this was kind of a new concept.
Yeah.
We're familiar with Sunday school, but the language of small group wasn't something that everybody was familiar with.
Yeah.
So I had to kind of unpack what that means and make it sound attractive.
Yeah.
And so I modeled it. So I said, hey guys, we're going to come to my house. We're going to play cards. And we did. We're going to barbecue. And
now barbecuing is spiritual.
Oh, yes, sir.
Killing the fatted calf. That's spiritual. It's in the Bible. Killing the fatted calf is spiritual.
And the calf is tasty.
It tasted. There
it tastes good.
And, a calf died so that we may live.
Make sure you season it well.
That's right.
But
right. There
and
you go.
So because Neal, much of our theology is from the pulpit, but we really can flesh it out when you do small groups.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what I was the vision I was casting. And so I said, hey, I'm gonna take my sermon, and I'm gonna unpack my sermon in such a way that we can go deeper in our sermons. Instead of just getting a sermon on Sunday, let's go a little bit deeper.
You just said something. You laid out a practical application that I think a lot of people struggle with.
Yeah.
So deal with that again, man, because we talk about small groups. We talk about, hey, summer slump, principle one, re-engage small groups or do them for the very first time. Right. And the first thing somebody does is they go online at Lifeway or go somewhere and they download something and they do it. But you didn't do that.
No.
The practical thing that you did.
Yeah, I just took my sermons and just broke my sermon down to where into discussion questions. We had the big idea, and I just broke it down so you can dig deeper into the sermon.
That's good.
And have meaningful conversations. You can dig a little deeper into the sermon, and so and doing that, not only will you equip the people, but you'll bear more spiritual fruit.
That's good.
You have a sermon. I don't know, whatever the topic you're dealing with. Yeah. I mean, you can take the conversation a little deeper in those small group settings. So that's what I did.
Dude, that's good. So were people receptive?
Yes.
They were.
Man, it saved us that summer. It saved us, man. And I'm not going to say, hey, a lot of people attended church and it blew up. No.
Yeah.
The success for me was measured in there was spiritual growth. Friendships were forged.
That's good.
Just it was more meaningful.
Yeah.
People looked forward to going to other people's houses, whereas before nobody was going to anybody's house. Come on.
Now let me point this out. Here is a misnomer in the urban community that people don't want other people at their house.
Oh yeah.
A lot of times people hear that. Well, no, nobody come. The people that don't want people at their house don't invite people to the house. That's cool. That's all right. But there are some people that have the gift of hospitality that you can pick on. But here's something that you did. And that principle, I think, is just so amazing. You did it first. You did it
I didn't
first.
know what I was doing, Neal.
It didn't matter.
I really didn't.
It didn't matter.
I really didn't.
None of us know what we're doing.
I just knew, man, having a small gathering of, and just spending time. I mean, it's Acts 2,
That's
spending time with each other, devoting yourself to the scripture. At the end of the day, I'm going to tell you this, people want community.
At the end of the day, people want community.
Right. They want, to be in an environment where they can be vulnerable. Where friendships can deepen. Instead of I see you on Sunday morning, God bless you.
Yeah, God bless you. I see you next week.
It's good to see you, and I see you next week.
Yeah.
But I really don't know you.
Right.
I really don't know you.
Sunday you.
I know the Sunday you, but I don't really know you. I don't know your interests. I don't know your gifts. I don't even know your children. But when you create those environments for community where people feel like they belong, they feel like they are loved. That's why other social organizations thrive.
That's right.
Off of that principle of community.
That's right.
I mean, it's a biblical principle.
That's right.
Jesus did it. Know, and so. In urban context, sometimes, like you said, we want, not we, in the urban context, that's something that people really want.
Yeah.
That people,
we want community, but we want it on our rhythm.
Yeah.
But it's okay. Yeah. I'm able to do it if my leader models it for me.
Right.
And I think that's major. So you made it through that summer with principle number. Here's another principle that we can kind of lay out. Principle number 2 is this: missional engagements and exploring or courting potential partners.
So what do you mean by that?
Missional, that's a whole mouthful. I know I'm sorry for spitting on you, but we're okay.
No,
we're fully vaccinated, so we're okay. So this summer, now you're in the middle of summer right now.
Right.
As you're listening to this and watching this, you're in the middle of summer. Here's the deal: missional engagements. I guess I should use the term intentional missional engagements. When we were youth pastors, the summer was our hot time.
Yeah.
Summer was a hot time. We had camps going on. We had all this other stuff going on. So you have to understand, my friend Mark told me this. He taught me about cultural exegesis. I'm going to use that term until I die. Yeah. Cultural exegesis says, what is the story of the community that you believe God has called you to serve? Missional engagement says that since I know that community, I know that community's rhythm, and whether I may be slumping in the larger gathering, the need still exists in my mission, in my community. So just simple missional engagements. This is something that we did. We tried to find those simple things that we could do during the summer that we can't do in the regular part of the year with our congregation and with those folks that are around.
So what did that look like?
Well, what it looked like for me was this, is there are a group of people that want to do stuff. For example, they want to beautify something. There was a young lady, man, we used this one time. There's a young lady, she wants to, you look at her house, she loves her house and her plants and all that other stuff so much that she posts pictures of it on Facebook. Right. So I said, you know what? While you're taking care of your house, let's take care of God's house and then celebrate that. So it was internally missional because we got her involved in beautifying the church, and then other people kind of pulled around her, and we started to do the same thing to folks in the community. Another thing that we ended up doing is that during the summer, sometimes there may be some college students that have come home that want to do some stuff. Right. So we tried to plug them into some kind of missional things. If you are a part of a larger denomination, if you're a part of a fellowship, everybody has these. At the Arkansas Baptist State Convention, we call them Connect Days or Acts 1-8 days and all these other things that you go on, backyard Bible clubs. What is the thing with the bounce houses and the block parties and all those different things? Listen, COVID or no COVID, this summer during the slump, you can still engage in some of those things if you space some of those things out. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I'm just telling you some of the things that we.
So can you do that? I can hear our listeners. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So can you do that during COVID? So I mean, we are moving out of COVID, and people getting vaccinated, and all this stuff. Yeah. So there are a lot of people that are apprehensive about engaging. There are a lot of people in the urban context that are not even gathering. Yeah, not gathering or not even vaccinated, not even thinking about none of that. So you're telling me, okay, to survive the summer slump, for me to be missionally engaged during this season. How do you do that?
Here's another way. You can be socially distanced and still missionally engaged. Let me ask you this, for lack of a better term. I'm gonna use the lady's real name. Her name is Miss Smith. Okay. Miss Smith. Before COVID. That's her real name. Oh, okay. Miss Smith. She lives right across the street. Yeah, no, that's not John Doe. That's like Miss Jenkins. That's a real person. She's a real person. She lives across the street. Sister Jenkins. No, she lives across the street from the church. Right. We saw her a lot before COVID. Since COVID, the only time we see her is on Facebook. I mean, because she's friends. But we look at Miss Smith's yard. She's a single parent, has a young son. She's trying to get him a little more engaged in the yard and the whole deal. But what we can do now is we can say, you know what, Miss Smith, allow us to take care of your yard for you. Yeah. That's being missional. We have a group of people.
How did she respond?
Oh man, she loved it. Now, can I tell you what blew my mind about that? Is that she is a member, an official member of another church. Wow. But talks about our church more than anything. Now here's the thing. Being missionally engaged has nothing to do with bringing more people to the Little C church, but allowing people to work in the body of Christ. Yes. Yes. You feel what I'm saying?
And to experience the love of Christ, through that experience. Yeah. And so, So she was receptive, and she was excited that you guys.
It was free. She didn't have to do anything. We were missionally engaged.
Right.
And here's the other thing. So what we would do is we would set up other things. Another thing that you can still do during a COVID environment, the car wash is still working.
Yeah.
The car wash is still working. I got it from a guy in Ohio. Yep. He did free car washes. There was a marker for what we did. Here's what you do with the free car wash. Sometimes people stayed in their car. Mm-hmm. You can hand them a card and say, hey, Jesus loves you. God loves you. Here's some information about our church.
Right.
Make sure you put some virtual stuff on there as well. Now, you may be thinking, well, wait a minute. This is crazy. I mean, this is summer. I need to get people in the church. No, the bottom line is to be missional, so that if you sow the seeds of missional, being intentionally missional, it reaps benefits later on. It may be somebody.
And you want to sow the seed not only of sharing the love of Christ, but sharing the gospel, giving an opportunity to share the gospel. So regardless of COVID, you're still looking for ways to connect with people, build a relationship with people, and share the gospel with people, and invite them to be a part, of your church and be a part of your experience. So
part of your community.
So be a part of your community, right?
Community
and so
family.
You can still do missional engagement even in the midst of what we're going through. Coming out of COVID. Yeah. And so I would encourage church planters, anybody, even during this time as we're coming out of COVID, or however long that's going to take, still be prayerfully considering ways to be able to engage. You may think about your local predicament in your community, or a need, that's in the community, and prayerfully consider being the solution to that need, because you're wanting to share the gospel, you're wanting to tell people about Jesus, you're wanting to share the love to that person. So you can still have unique opportunity. There's still unique opportunities.
But they will tell you what the needs are.
Yeah, they're going to tell you.
And those statements we talk about, a real need and a felt need, they'll tell you what those needs are. Here's the other part with missional engagement is this. Mm-hmm. As a church plant, you survive early on based on partnerships.
Oh, yeah.
Now here's the thing. This is what we ended up doing. We began to use our summer slump, where a lot of our members were not around, but the environment still had a need. And we saw a mother church from wherever, and we would call them and say, hey, you know what? Before you go to Guatemala, before you go to Honduras, before you go to Brazil, Peru, wherever you're going, go to the community that is different than yours 15 minutes across town before you go 15 hours
there's
across
a mission
the world.
Field
there is a
in your backyard.
There you go.
And partner with us.
That's it. As a church plant, we need to learn how to use that as a training ground. Use your summer to allow that to happen. Let me tell you the two greatest things that happened for us. One was there's a church outside of our city. Mm-hmm. I think they're about 7 or 8 hours away. We're in Little Rock. They were outside of Dallas. Mm-hmm. Outside of Dallas. Brought in about 11 people. Previous building that we were in, before we were in the facility we're in now, and they came and they just wanted to do something. They said, hey, just want to do it. Our members, I probably had 2 members around that could actually do something at the time. They came and they painted the entire outside of our building. Yep. They came, they did that. We did this, they were there about 4 days. The 4th day, there was no work. We just spent time together. We ate. We told them all about our community, and that gave them some prayer points, and they began to come back like 2 years after that. Those are times that you can partner and be the body of Christ during the summer. It doesn't have to be a slump. It just can be a reset.
So, Neal, what did that do for the life of the church? How did that impact your church? When you had those partner churches and those partners to come alongside you, even though I may have 2, 5, or 10, and they'll bring a busload, but what did that do? How did that impact the church?
It impacted, first of all, it impacted me because it reminded me that God hadn't fired me.
Oh, yeah.
It reminded me that if God is moving, then that God doesn't move on something that he is not interested in. So if God was moving, that means that, okay, he's still interested in me. He's still interested in this plan. Here's the other part. For our members, they said people don't want to be outdone by somebody that's not there, by somebody that's not there. You feel what I'm saying? So in other words, they were like, well, wait a minute.
I'm not going to let you outdo.
My church is valuable.
Yes, sir.
And so what they began to do, they began to invite people during the week to come by. Dude, they were coming by taking pictures.
Yep.
All it was brown paint. And they were excited. So the summer came around and people were going, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Did you do that? No, but it's still my church.
Right.
Still my church. So they were excited. So it gave our people
life.
They gave life.
Yep.
Here's the other part. They gave value to what we were doing.
Yeah.
So by the time the summer slump was over, people were going, no, this is my church. No, you need to come to my church.
Now,
this is my local community.
Not only did it impact your church, it also impacted the partner church.
There you go.
And the experience and the opportunity that they get.
That's right.
In the experience.
There you go.
You get to learn about each other, learn
culture,
other cultures, you get to learn, and get a different perspective.
That's right.
So it not only is valuable to you and your church and gives life to you and your church, but it also gives life to the partnering church.
That's right.
And so it's a win-win on both ends. And
God created that downtime so that you can engage in some stuff that you can't engage in when everybody else is busy. Re-engage and start a small group. Go ahead, Doc, because you got excited. You got excited.
Because I'm thinking, that same experience that your mission team get when they go to Guatemala.
Yes.
Come on, the same experience that they get when they go to wherever, Africa or India, whatever, is the same experience through God's Spirit that you get in your backyard.
That's right.
In the neighborhood down the street.
Yes.
And so there's a lot of opportunity.
Yeah.
With here.
That's right.
And so partnership is incredible, and it plays an important role in making impact. So,
and I don't think we should ever discount that, throw that away, any of that. So re-engaging or engaging small groups, I think that's important during the summer. Being missionally engaged, being strategic. But here's the last thing, the last principle that I believe that facility and flock maintenance.
Now you came up with that. Facility and flock maintenance.
Forgive me for spitting once again. Facility and flock maintenance.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. It's just like the painting. Here's the thing. There are a lot of things that you can't do. During the regular part of the year.
You can't do that.
You come up with the list during the year, but you never know whether that's with a partner or just with yourself. With just the members that you have. The facility maintenance, you come around and you say, you know what? You begin to dream. Whether you do it or you lay a plan to do it. Use this summer slump to continue to dream. What do you do when you settle down and rest? When I rest, there are two things that I do.
Sleep.
I snore. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
I sleep. Yeah. When I settle down, I sleep. And if I go all the way to REM, I dream. God has created a season for the church to settle down and dream. And I believe that we miss the opportunity to dream when we.
So how does that connect with flock maintenance?
Well, that's facility maintenance. Flock maintenance, you settle down and you start to think about, you know what? Who haven't I seen in a long time?
Yeah.
Who came but never joined?
Yeah.
Who did something and started, and I know that they're going through a difficult time right now. Who needs some help? And not financial help. Not sometimes just, hey, how you doing? I appreciate you.
Or who are some of the leaders I need to pour into?
Who are some leaders I need? Hey, here's the deal. Who are some of the folks that are potential leaders?
Yeah. That
they may not be leading anything now, but I know in a year they're going to lead.
Right.
That I have to, that's that downtime.
That downtime.
Now, here's the other thing. If you have the opportunity to send them somewhere, send them somewhere.
What do you mean by that?
Training, my worship leaders. If you it doesn't have to be any kind of what's the word, conference or workshop. Hey, I have a friend in whatever town. Oh, I have a cousin that lives there. Hey, you know what? This is what I want you to do this weekend. I want you to not to come here. I want you to go there and spend some time with them. I'll call them and let you know that.
And Arkansas Baptists have several events that we have that we can send our leaders to and to help equip them. So what are some of those things that we can?
Hey, let me tell you something. First of all, you got
put a plug out there.
Put a plug in there for all the Arkansas Baptist stuff. But here's the deal. You have Super Summer.
Yeah.
You have some of those younger folks. Now, this this year it may be a little difficult.
Right.
However,
Right.
you can still connect with some of those mentoring programs that they have. You have Super Kids, may not be happening this year, but those things are actually still happening. Or some larger churches that are doing those things. You have Super Summer, you have Super Kids. For worship leaders, young folks that are junior high school, Praise Works, Joy Works. Yep. And it's not just playing instruments, singing, and all of that. It's the tech people. Yeah. You send them to those places so that during the summer, you know what? I'm not worried about the numbers. I'm not worried about who's in the building right now. Because if I sow the seed, listen, a farmer is not concerned about the seed sprouting up quick. He's more concerned about what's going on under the dirt that he doesn't see. The soil that he doesn't see. So I think that if we use those times to start to sow the seed and start to send those people places, man, listen, connect people with phone numbers. You know, just phone numbers with some. That's that flock and facility. You dream about the facility, but you also care for the flock. And I think that sometimes that there's some people in our congregations, man, that that are good with pastoral care. Yeah, we don't give them an opportunity to do pastoral care. Yeah. Our congregation, I think it started at year 5 or 6 that they said, Pastor, you know what? You take a break. And so now it is time for them. Are they going to be perfect? Are the folks that are going to lead worship and teach and all of that, are they going to be perfect? No. How do they become better? By having reps. They got to get more reps in.
But you're able to do that during downtime.
Yeah,
and those are things that we don't normally think about. No. But now that you have that space and that time to do that, you can send them, you know, to these different events to equip them. And it's encouraging. Yeah, it's encouraging.
I mean, think about when you first started doing stuff. That's encouraging to you and me.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? That's encouraging because I don't know how. If I always carried my sons and never allowed them to walk, I wouldn't know how far they could walk if I never let them go.
Yeah.
Sometimes they gotta. Will they get their knees scratched?
Now watch this. When you let them go in their journey, there are people that come alongside them. They end up being their friends.
Yes,
that has an influence. And so sometimes we let them go and send them to these conferences and events. There are relationships that are forged as a result of us sending them out. That helps them in their, you know, whatever they're called to do. That's right. And so we can't be afraid, you know, or nor intimidated in allowing our people to. Thrusting our people out.
What's that word you said? Intimidated?
Yeah.
We can't be intimidated.
Be intimidated. Yeah. And trust the call on their life and what God has called them to do. Right. And my job as a church planter is to equip them for the work of the ministry. Right. And be okay with sending them for them to be equipped. That's right. Because all it's going to do when they come back is going to bring life to the church, enhance the church, make an impact in the church, and just make us be more excellent at what God called us to do. So
let me address the elephant in the room here real quick. Let me address the elephant in the room because a lot of people push back with us and say, I don't have money. Oh, yeah. I don't have money to send anybody to a conference. I don't have money to send anybody to a camp.
If you're a church planter, you don't have money.
Yeah, well, no, you're right. I didn't have money.
You don't have money.
No, I didn't have money. I had phone numbers.
You have to be resourceful.
Resourceful. But here's the other thing that you have to do. If I can't send somebody to a camp, I know somebody that went to a camp. So what do I do is I find somebody that went to a camp and say, would you be willing when you come back to share with me what you've learned?
Exactly.
So what does that do? What have I spent? Time. That's it. I spent nothing but time. You have to allow my musicians during the summer, during this time, I rotate them. I say, hey, take a weekend off. But no, take a weekend off. You need a break. Listen, if I need a break, think about this. God did everything he needed to do in 6 days. 7 days he rested. That's cool. You need some rest too. Right. Because I don't want you to be angry in September because I never gave you a break.
And that also shows that person how much you value them.
Yes.
You know, the fact that you give me a time and to kind of break and, you know, and not penalize me for that.
That's flock maintenance.
That's like, that
sounds like a nasty word, but flock maintenance. That's flock maintenance. But listen, re-engaging or engaging small groups. Doing the summer slump.
To survive the summer slump.
Survive the summer slump. Re-engaging or engaging small groups. Being missionally engaged where you are. For potentially leading into partnerships at some point. But then facility dreaming about facility, and flock maintenance. I believe, and we have used some of those things, I believe those are the things that we can allow us, specifically during this time.
Right.
I know we may be a little late with issuing these out, but it's not too late. You're right here at the middle of summer.
That's right.
Memorial Day has just ended. You're right in the middle of this as you're watching this or listening to this. Now is an opportune time for you to use this summer slump to take off and use some folks. We know as leaders, all of us are looking everywhere to find creative ideas.
Yes.
And we're so grateful for, we did some focus groups and some people were kind of laid those out there.
Yeah.
The bridge is here to build a bridge between your church and the local community. Right. And we do that with creative ideas. So we've labeled this section creative bridge ideas. Creative bridge ideas. Okay, here's some of our top creative bridge ideas. Idea number 1 is a car wash. That's it. Yeah, free car wash. Put it in the budget.
Yep.
Put all that in the budget. And it's part of your outreach budget. You just put money in a car wash and you share the gospel with people, whether they're sitting in the car before they get the car washed or after. Don't make it an expensive detail thing, but they can take off from there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Idea number 2, loads of love. So you will go to a laundromat and pay for their laundry. Now, be careful with that. Do not handle their laundry, but pay for the laundry. And while they're waiting, you get an opportunity to share the gospel and have conversations with them. You've got to put that disclaimer. You have to put that out there. Do not handle. Towels down. There you go. Yeah. So
do not handle their laundry. I did. Top creative bridge idea number 3 is landscaping. Now, don't landscape to the degree that is greater than your expertise. Yeah. Don't try to do a rock garden when you cannot either afford or do a rock garden.
Exactly.
Only do landscaping at your level of expertise.
And get permission. Ask, how do you want your yard cut?
There you go. I'm sorry, this is making me laugh.
Yeah, so you want to ask them, hey, you want to cut high, low?
Right.
Because you don't want to do this project and they hate what you just did to their yard.
That's right.
And so,
that's right.
Yeah.
Because you have a dirt yard and you'll get cussed out. Exactly. Counterproductive.
The reason why you're doing it.
That's right. Those are our top creative bridge ideas.
Exactly. So listen, if you have an idea that you'd like to share, that you have implemented, or an idea that you have seen work, hey, share it with us. Send us an email at thebridge@absc.org. Again, that is thebridge@absc.org.
Hey, Chanson, this has been fun. Very first episode, real good, surviving the summer slump. We're so grateful that you decided to join. I'm grateful that you're here, and I'm grateful that you allowed me to ride on this ride with you.
Let's go.
The Bridge, your entrance into urban church planting.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of The Bridge. We hope you learned something new and found some encouragement along the way. To learn more about church planting in Arkansas and to find more resources, visit ABSC.org and click the Church Planting tab. If you have a story, question to share, or a creative idea, email us at thebridge@absc.org. Be sure to rate and review if you liked what you heard.